Excuse me.
Oh, that's just fine. That's just fine. So we have some business to attend to, Matt.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Here, my pre-prepared remarks.
Let's get straight on to it. Excellent hiding spot.
Yeah. So here we go. I don't know what you got cooking with the time of the.
We'll probably get through a fourth, is my guess.
A fourth.
Half being the average.
So last time you just chose words, and I had to do like a one word synopsis to it, right?
Yeah.
So.
Free association.
Yeah, free association. Okay, so I chose, instead of like random things, I'm gonna choose celebrities.
Great.
Or famous people, and we're gonna go through a couple lists. Okay, so here we go. We'll start, and it's in no particular order. I literally just chose randomly. I got like a couple lists of famous people, and see, I'm too slow.
It's a good setup, though, honestly.
How many have to suffer? Nuts. How many have to suffer to satisfy your absurdity? Agree. Have to suffer your absurdity.
Another one of these NPR sadcore songs.
Love it. How much do we have to suffer? A lot. I don't know. Not really. I'm not really suffering.
I knew you would take the whole time before getting to the categories.
You knew it, yeah.
That's why I'm like, how long do we have to suffer before we get to the... All right, what do you got for me?
Okay, here you go.
In
Ready?
order of famousness.
No, I'm kidding. Okay, that's funny. Okay, Kermit the Frog.
Art.
Okay, perfect. All right, Jim Carrey.
Mask.
Bill Gates.
Money.
Tom Cruise.
Lie.
Matthew McConaughey.
Dude.
Okay, Queen Elizabeth.
Done.
Shakespeare.
Forgotten.
Ooh, Gandhi.
Cool.
Cher.
Gone.
Okay. Oprah.
I need to start doing different types of association. I feel like I can only pick like 6 words. Like I'm categorizing them in 6 categories.
Whether you've thought about them as a celebrity recently, either in your brain or not in your brain for a while.
Harpo.
Okay, cool. Yeah. And then I think, let's see, Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Heroin, unfortunately.
Steven Spielberg.
E.T.
Kevin Spacey.
Not. I'm just the word not.
Not.
Lowercase.
Derek Chauvin.
Wrong.
Hitler.
Also not cool.
Stalin.
That dude's got little dick issues. Little dick issues on that dude.
Nixon.
Dick Nixon. Dixon.
Voldemort.
Lord.
And Jeffrey Epstein. We're gonna finish it off.
Matt.
Oh, Matt. That's just it.
Well, you're associating yourself with all these people reading 12 of the worst.
I love it. Yeah, I started with nice, positive people.
You did. That's that. Okay, now upon reflection, I'm like.
And then, but I didn't really mean to start with like positive people. But then I did, and then I started thinking about Kevin Spacey, and I was like, ooh, I should just start doing evil people because it's more fun.
The thing about the word association is I feel like I am trying to come up with the correct answer sometimes.
Yeah, no, right. You want to say, and you want to, yeah, I totally get it.
Maybe that's on me. I didn't answer fast enough.
No. And I kind of wanted you to say either a word or like a phrase. You know what I mean? Because sometimes having like a single word for somebody.
Actually, we should do that.
Like a phrase. Like if you want, you could say like a blip. It doesn't have to just be like a word.
I start feeling super religious to the rules. Like I can only say one word.
Yeah, it's my fault. I should really given you more things.
No, I structured it last time. I do think it should be phrasings or like.
See, that's funny. You stuck to the rules, and last time I broke them immediately because I had like a phrase, right?
This is why we podcast together. Welcome everyone, 46th episode. 46.
That's crazy.
Yeah, the episode. It's so many now. It's getting hard to even say. 46.
God
Unbelievably high numbers. But thank you for being here, Matt.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
it's beautiful out here.
It's gorgeous.
I can't believe how nice it is right now.
Last one, we're wearing like jackets.
Yeah. Freezing, like
clearly
freezing. It's freezing our asses off out here, and now it's like the prime of summer for a day, and then tomorrow it's gonna be cold again or something, right?
Yeah. Enough weather housekeeping. Do you want to jump into another category? You still got the paper.
I got some more up here. Okay.
This is Matt's first time bringing in homework for the show, by the way. So we're just trying out different things.
Right.
46 episodes. You got to start, stirring it up a little bit.
So I got a couple, like 3 more things. Okay. So it's come like some would you rather's, and most of them have to do with how you want to die this way or that way. So we could skip that one. And then I had Stranded Island because I'm curious about this for you in general anyways, because I like your opinion. But, top 1 or 3, your Stranded Island, movies, book, food, TV, that kind of thing. And then this is my favorite category, okay? This is the one that it came to me in my sleep last night, okay? And
It's a well-populated island. It's not a stranded island. It's, you want to have a party on an island?
You got to pick the best trilogy out of trilogies. Okay. So I'm going to start with what I'm talking about. And I have a selection of like trilogies in case you forget, so I have a list of ones you want to take from.
The really big ones end up like becoming more than trilogies, right?
Yeah,
like
right.
Star Wars, does that still count?
But I count it because there's two trilogies in that, so that's how I counted it, the prequels and the original series.
Yeah, I can
and
see
technically the sequel trilogies, but I just counted the first ones. So my first one, and I feel like it's the easiest one. I feel like it. So you got Star Wars: A New Hope, The Dark Knight, and then Return of the King. So those three movies make up like a super trilogy of movies because every one of those notes is like a phenomenal movie in and of itself, So you have to come up with a trilogy of movies of other trilogies, right?
And you picked the most famous three.
Right, because I thought that was the easiest one. Yeah,
right.
Just to fuck. So, but I do have a couple of categories. So like Star Wars, Lord of the Rings has 3, Matrix, Mission Impossible, Austin Powers has 3 movies.
Yeah, Austin Powers is my number one to start with.
Terminator, X-Men, The Naked Gun has 3 movies. Spider-Man, Die Hard's got 3. Evil Dead's got 3. Indiana Jones has got 3.
A lot of times there are like iterations or there are like generations for some of these.
Yeah.
Like Batman, Spider-Man, those are examples. They've done multiple trilogies.
The 2000s, the 2000 trilogy. Well, actually, yeah, I guess there's 2 Batman trilogies, right? There's like the Nolan-verse trilogy.
There's probably 3. I mean, there's probably...
There will be 3 trilogies of
Clooney
Batman.
was in at least 2.
Yeah.
Let's not just go into Batman again immediately.
No, but yeah. You're right, there's 4. There's the 2 Schumachers and the two what's his name? Very popular Tim Burton movies. And then Nolan did 3, so technically.
Could something like Planet of the Apes count?
Yes, that was the new version of Planet of the Apes was on the list.
Yeah.
Because the new version has 3. So, but the old, there's like 6 of the old versions. I've seen all those.
The new trilogy's pretty good.
Yeah, I haven't seen most of them. I haven't seen them. Even though I love the originals, like diehard original fan, I just haven't seen them.
But you have a serious problem with James Franco. That's what it is.
Yeah, actually.
Was it the Sapien Uprising?
It's the director, Matt Reeves, who's going to direct the new Batman movie.
Oh,
just throwing that out there, just because we're trying to get off Batman. But the guy who directed the 3 Planet of the Apes movies, Matt Reeves, he's in charge of the new Batman movie.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah, so there you go.
Makes sense though.
Or Batman. Yeah.
They should just have one of the monkeys from Planet of the Apes in the new Batman movie.
I'm sure there'll be a cameo of an ape talking.
That'd be an incredible crossover.
Gorilla Grodd or something.
I don't think I keep trilogies in the forefront of my brain.
No,
easily.
Me neither. I just thought it was funny though, because there's so many movie trilogies, and like, how do you know what I mean? Like, I was like, oh, make a trilogy of trilogies, right?
This is like Clerks. Is that a trilogy?
The Jersey trilogy that was also on the list. Yeah,
kind of Jane Silent Bob Strike Back is kind of considered to be the third one.
Yeah.
Until they're releasing.
They're gonna
Clerks
do Clerks 3. Yeah, because Kevin Smith's like, I don't want to do these anymore, and then he's like, I can't help it. You want to talk about it?
No, I said, who am I talking to here?
Yeah, I love Kevin Smith. Yeah,
Kevin Smith.
I used to love Kevin. I still love whatever.
So what happened with those categories? Were we?
So then the other 2 categories are
I don't know. I'm calling everything categories at this point.
Categories. Let me think. Okay, would you rather die from being lit on fire or frozen in ice? Right.
I think frozen in ice, just because I have frozen things in ice before, and it gives them a really beautiful element.
Yeah, like Dr. Freeze over here, Mr. Freeze. That's right.
Me and my friends were like freezing photos in college. We had like a long rectangular Tupperware, and we would take like a photo of significance and freeze it, and then shatter the ice afterwards with like the significant frozen photo in there.
Interesting.
And there's something so intense. People do cathartic things with fire too.
Yeah.
That's like taking, I don't know, things from your ex in a
burning it,
trash can basket. This is off of Friends, by the way. I've never done this. This is just Solio, and I've seen off of Friends.
I'm not that emotional, I don't.
Then you meet a cute firefighter. That's a way in, That's a way to get there. Do you remember this episode?
Rachel? Yeah, totally. Okay. Yeah. Didn't they fight over the firefighter because they burn something down in the apartment, and then the cute firefighters show up, and then they have to like choose the 2 of them. There's the 2 of them, right?
Probably 3 of them. There's probably a trilogy of firefighters.
If my brother Dylan were here, he would know because Friends is his favorite show.
I love Friends.
And he is
happy birthday, by the way.
That's why I did that. Happy birthday, Dylan. But no, he's just like a Friends genius. It's very impressive. I don't know Friends that well.
It's a love language. That book, like the love languages, is like acts of service and then watching Friends.
Watching
together.
Friends with your partner.
That's like one of the main. But speaking of trilogies, is also Ross, Joey, Chandler.
And then you have the trilogy of Rachel, Phoebe, and Monica.
Odd amount of pressure. Also, it just got
really chilly. You feel that?
15 degrees colder in a matter of 10 seconds.
That kind of scares me because I was like, I don't need no jacket, and I'm like, oh shit, I bet I'm gonna need a jacket. And like,
no, I'm dressed like it's the middle of summer out here. Yeah, and it's just got frighteningly cold.
Didn't you like it? Just the temperature just dropped.
I think it's the Friends talk.
Yeah, they just don't like it.
It's a How I Met Your Mother Zeus up there.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
upset.
Yeah.
It's like, keep it contemporary.
Telling the story. Barney Stinson.
No, but I like ice like shaping ice as ice sculptures. There's something there because you could freeze me, you could have me in a tomb of ice.
Yeah.
And then you can whittle it into something cool.
I'm absolutely gonna go fire. I would just like it. Like, I don't want it to be like a slow burn, but I just want to be like combusted, just like, and then just that's it.
A podcast of fire and ice.
Yeah.
Well, cremation is arguably that, correctly?
That's how I'm going to die. I don't want to be buried somewhere. I want to be cremated and somebody to sprinkle me somewhere in the atmosphere.
So I guess maybe on some level I was just trying to pick the counterculture answer.
Yeah, that's you, James. Such a hipster. All right.
Freeze me in ice.
All right, how about...
Ruin a giant ice tray. What would you even freeze someone in? Do you put them in a bag or do you put them in a tray?
I don't know. Let's ask Walt Disney. He's frozen. He's got the frozen head somewhere. That's what I think about it. But when I think about that guy and freezing people long term, is the power output of freezing somebody long term.
Like Bitcoin.
You know what I mean?
The
right.
power output of mining Bitcoin.
Keeping yourself frozen for however long is like, it's just crazy, right?
It's ridiculous.
All right. Would you rather be drowned in water or smothered? Which arguably it's similar, but it's different. Being in like a small confined space, like in a coffin, suffocating to death, or like drowning, like watching, thalassophobia style.
Question: could I be smothered by a clone of myself? Like, could it be a Terminator style thing where I come back?
That's super dark, but
only I can kill myself.
Yes. Oh yeah.
I'll take smothering then. I can't have myself go out like I was bad at swimming too.
So there's a show I was watching. Okay, it's called Counterpoint. Cool show. It's on Amazon, right? The thrust of the show was there was an alternate version of reality, and everybody was copied in this one. Mm-hmm. So there's a moment where this woman who's an insider from one of the other sides comes to the other side to replace herself. So the last thing the other version of herself sees is her killing herself. She comes to herself in the other world, and she's like, why am I being suffocated by myself?
I have an important question. The people in that world, were they aware that there were duplicates?
No.
Or they were
Nobody
Truman
was aware.
Show ignorance?
No, it was like a spy show. Like, this was like classified information, and they were kind of at like a secret Cold War with each other. Tremendous show.
I brought it up because this is my number one concern, is that I'm going to run into myself. And then I will be here, of course, to take my own life.
Your doppelganger?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm looking out for that like 24/7. That's like my main concern.
The mirror versions of you. Like, it's James with like a mustache and like this, So
I can't identify with this show at all because like me, that's my everyday.
Yeah. It's it's a crazy show. And then like she just gets murdered and she murders herself. And the other person is so confused that the last image she sees is herself. And it's like wild. But anyways, I love that show. It's a really interesting show.
They should come out with a trilogy of it at some point.
It was only 2
if at all
seasons.
possible.
It was only 2 seasons. Okay, here you go. This is another weird one. Would you like to live forever alone or die early with friends? Like, you have a lot of friends, but you die in like your 50s and you're loved by a lot of people.
Based on how I lived the coronavirus, I would live forever alone because I basically didn't see anyone. I did live forever during the whole 14-month corona outbreak alone. So if my personality subset of the past is any indication whatsoever, that's much more likely and much more feasible for myself.
I feel you. I want to say that I'd die early with friends, but no, I'd live forever alone. I would live forever alone. And
that's what my friends would want. I didn't specify that either. I think that's an important consideration, is they would want me to go on without them.
Yeah, right. They're like, James, he's fine. It's fine. If whatever he wants to do.
Plus the show's called The Neverending Becoming, so if I died early, I should call it like Quick and Easy. Or something. Like, the show should be called something completely different.
The last episode, finally over. I don't know. Infinitely over. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that would work.
And then the last one is not a death one, but would you rather visit the far reaches of space or the depths of the ocean? We kind of were talking about a little bit of that last episode.
I would probably end up frozen in ice in both of them,
right?
Of course.
So you're Captain America frozen in ice in the bottom of the Arctic, just checking out the bottom of the sea. That's James.
It's going to be the far reaches of space, but also coincidentally, it's going to be the bottom of planet Xenu's ocean. So.
Oh, Xenu, we're doing Scientology now?
Cool. Well, yeah, I mean, Tom Cruise, I was starting with that liar thing. I wanted to circle back.
Lies. I was like, ooh, damn. Yeah, you had some pretty strong ones.
He's a professional liar. Anyone who's an actor is a professional liar.
Queen Elizabeth, done. It's like, oh, man, she's still alive as far as I know. Her husband, on the other hand.
Well, I think
R.I.P. Prince Philip. No,
anytime you get a
monster.
Netflix show, this is Harry and Meghan that I'm talking about. Anytime they get a Netflix show, anyone 2 generations older than you, you are done. You're not allowed to continue on. This is what happened with the Douglas family.
Oh, is that what it is?
No, not at all.
I was just like the Kirk Douglas. And Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Anything to bring up a Douglas. That's Michael Douglas. There's multiple Douglases. Kirk is the oldest.
Kirk is the daddy. He was.
Wait, was there an older Douglas?
No. It was Kirk Douglas, who lived like forever, and then it was Mike Douglas. You're right.
Yeah,
I was wrong. So Captain America again. So Wyatt Earp. Wyatt Russell, the guy who played the new Captain America, his dad is Kurt Russell. So is Kurt Russell done then now? By that logic?
Mathematically, yes.
Mathematically, he's out of contention now.
For certain things.
Wow.
Yes. For done, I'm talking about podcast purposes. I was answering all those
and
for
podcasts.
purely podcasts.
Of course, because I knew that.
Like, yeah, especially the Voldemort one. That was all specifically
evil.
For his podcasting ability.
Kermit the Frog art. I love it. Puppets art. I dig that a lot.
Actually, that was just, I answered based on Jim Henson.
Yeah.
Because I have so much respect for Jim Henson.
He's amazing. He's tremendous.
Yeah. I guess he's looked at as like a puppeteer or whatever, but he's...
Beyond that. I think he's beyond that.
Total creator, all-around creator artist. Right?
If you've done any, I don't want to say research into Jim Henson, but if you've looked into him and if you're at all interested in him, which you should be, and you should check it out.
Meaning you've watched YouTube videos on him. Is that what you mean, like
videos.
research?
Oh, yeah,
what kind of research?
Totally. Read books. I've read articles about him. I did a deep dive on Jim Henson, and I checked. It started with Frank Oz.
You want to see who's pulling the strings there?
Yeah, it was Frank Oz, because Frank Oz was Yoda, and I was watching interviews, and then it kind of delved into all the puppetry, and then you start watching, and, it is interesting when you're an adult.
Sorry, what percentage of the American population knows Frank Oz did Yoda, do you think? What? You said that kind of like it was common, but
10%.
10.
I should say Miss Piggy. Frank Oz, who does Miss Piggy. 10%. 10%.
Did he really?
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Okay, so the connections.
Fozzie. No, Frank Oz was huge.
I would put that percentage at 0.5, 0.6.
That was the other thing I forgot. I knew I forgot one. Okay. I totally forgot this, and it involved percentages, and that's why, of course, I wanted to do this. I wanted to ask questions just like you did, and I wanted you to guess the percentage of population that would...
Dude, I love questions like that.
Like the decimal. Like how many people would know who Frank Oz is, and you'd say, I don't know, like a decimal point or so,
How about this? What percentage of... Number one, anytime you're answering like questions for America, like what percentage of America knows this or that, if you take a wager over 50%, you're giving a strong wager.
It's huge. Oh my gosh.
If you have faith that half of the American public knows what you're talking about, you're basically talking about Tom Hanks or LeBron or one of 6 or 7 people.
Oprah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Oprah.
Yeah. There's a very few, I'd say maybe like 2 dozen people, and that's including politics, though. I mean, you got to include like the president. People know who the president is. I'd hope 50% of the country knows who the president is.
Yeah, but they also make the president like speak and read at a 9th grade reading level, so he doesn't alienate too many people.
That's
what percentage of the country
speaks at a 4th grade level?
No, how about this? What percentage of the country has seen the original Star Wars trilogy? A New Hope, Empire, Return of the Jedi.
The full trilogy? Yes. I would say 51% of the population has seen.
God, even you can't even take under 50% for that, can you? It would kill you to say less than 50%.
Joke. But no, in all honesty, it's 52% of the population. No, I mean, think about it. No, you're probably right. But Star Wars is fucking huge, though. I would just say maybe not seen it, but know of it.
Quick tangent in terms of Star Wars and guessing for numbers. Have you heard of SoftBank?
Mm-mm.
It's an investment firm or some sort of investment house in Japan that actually blew up during the dot-com crash and now has recently also made some waves because they were invested in WeWork and some of these like questionable companies that some people thought were going to be super profitable and Silicon Valley unicorns. The founder of SoftBank, I can't remember the gentleman's name, but he specifically, I guess, uses Star Wars quotes talking about using the Force. Like, we use the Force to make investment decisions. So, yeah, exactly.
Don't trust that guy.
No, very interesting, though. He's media to move people, media to manipulate people.
Yeah.
He's deftly using some of these cultural mainstays from Star Wars that we really just use as a way to describe intuition, right? It's really just Western intuition is using the Force. And he's able to move billions of dollars of investment decisions. I find it very interesting.
Because over 50% of the country has seen Star Wars and they can relate to it.
I'm going to use the Force and say that have seen all 3. We're talking about honestly, dude, 24%. It's less than a fourth. It's just under a fourth. Because a lot of people have seen A New Hope. A lot of people have seen A New Hope and Empire, or some combination thereof, but maybe not all three. There's going to be, because like that stats are always like that, right? Yeah. If you've seen all three, like everyone's seen 2 out of 3, but no one's seen all three. Like there's like weird shit like that.
It's a less number. Yeah, that's kind of crazy though. That's an interesting. I wish I could tabulate it. I want to know now. I want it to be like something crazy, like actually 65% of the population is, and you'd be like, what? You know? But that's interesting. It's hard to pull for movies. How many people have seen a movie like that? You know?
It is. I mean, media and obscure statistics is the only thing I care about at this point.
Yeah, so dude, I love obscure analyzing these obscure statistics and being able to like take something out of it. Like that's interesting.
Not just want to talk about SoftBank today, not just about that kind of Japanese financing, but in terms of American media manipulators, American financiers, someone who recently bought and sold Bitcoin. Do you know who I'm talking about, Matt?
I've never heard of the man.
A gentleman who, a man, so I'm talking about a gentleman.
I'm assuming me and my gender roles already, yeah.
He may be hosting a certain show that we didn't directly predict, but we basically said this guy's obsessed with media. And to me, this show, Saturday Night Live, is the epitome of media, especially like taste making and trying to swing a stick, right?
We were so fucking close predicting Elon Musk on Saturday Night Live. We were right there, dude. We were talking about SNL. We were talking about like Will Ferrell and people in SNL, Mike Myers, and just like SNL in general. And then we start talking about Elon, and we could have been like, yeah, next step for him is fucking. We were like this close. The next day, I look on Instagram. I'm scrolling, through the deep scroll, and then all of a sudden it's just like, boom, Elon Musk on fucking Saturday Night Live, and you could have knocked me over with a feather, dude. I was like.
And I know what everyone's going to say. You guys are trying to take credit for something you didn't actually predict. But in effect, we did. And if you were using the Force, of course, while listening to our episode, you could tell
we did it.
That we were looking within that unified field.
We are on the ground floor. We are on the ground floor of Elon Musk, okay? Of like...
We saw the unmanifested Elon monologue on SNL, but we weren't able to put words to it yet. One Up on Elon was the name of the episode. Yeah. And it was some sort of joke basically in that we have one thing up on him, which is that he's a terrible podcaster.
Terrible.
He's awful at podcasting. And to be honest, he's not entertaining. People like to post memes and GIFs of him dancing, but it's sort of in an ironic way.
Yes.
It's sort of a troll way that would have not been accepted whatsoever if it was like 1999 or 2000 or one of those like much more cruel years that I grew up in when I was 11 or 12 years old.
A bunch of the cast members have come out and they're not super pleased with it. A couple people are just like, what are we doing? Like why? What is it? 80 Williams, I think her name is. She posted something about like the top earners, the top corporate earners, and like the medium income, and just blah blah blah. And it's more like, how can people relate to this guy? Like, you're putting this guy on Saturday Night Live, which is supposed to be one of the most,
That's fucking bullshit, though. I talked about, and I specifically tied Elon to Trump and Kanye West last time.
Yep,
in terms of their ability to get free media coverage and to move people with that media coverage. Trump was on SNL 2 times.
Yep, you just took it out of my mouth, and that's like they knew what they did. They had him on in 2015 when he was running for president.
They're tastemakers. They're kingmakers at SNL.
Absolutely. Lorne Michaels takes that shit seriously. He takes that shit seriously. There's on YouTube a great documentary that James Franco did called Saturday Night, and I just saw it. I put it in my watch list. He released it in 2014, and it is about an episode of Saturday Night Live being produced in 2009, and it's him in the backstage and in the writer's room and the whole thing, and he goes like step-by-step documentary of an episode, and it was fascinating. And
I would love that.
Lorne Michaels, I'll send it to you. Lorne Michaels has all of the writers like sitting on his floor in his room as John Malkovich is in there, and they're all like pitching to John Malkovich, and it's just interesting. The king is sitting with all of his people, right? But to be in that room, the Saturday Night Live room, it's like,
Saturday Night Live is such an important show in my mind.
Yeah.
When we were having like the Elon media discussion, that obviously we talk about Will Ferrell, Mike Myers, different SNL alums, but it's always there, like as the show, as the stage.
Yeah.
In a way, it's a sign of legitimacy that you've made it, that you're recognized and beloved.
Absolutely.
It's a huge like transition point too. Like I think LeBron was on SNL before he was like in movies, right? Like
I think so.
It kind of can be an entryway into different parts of your career blossoming. And I think I'm just going to make my prediction now about Elon on SNL.
Failure.
He's not going to do great because he's trying to do this part of the media flywheel, which is being funny. We expect everyone now to be hilarious. We expect all of our, even CEOs, one of the world's most profitable companies, not profitable, one of the world's highest value. Big fucking difference with Tesla.
Market share.
Exactly. We expect all of them to be funny and to kind of be a part of this meme culture. And obviously Elon is specifically good at some of this with Twitter, GameStop, going public at 420, yada, yada, all that. But this is part of the flywheel I think he cannot participate in. And I think people in some way already sense this and are taking offense to it. I think that's where the cast gets off, because they're like, come on, we've been training X number of years, whatever, to be here. And this, rich dude is going to show up that already kind of is, in a way, feels like he's bullying us, right? Or he's kind of kicking around the headlines and kind of like kicking our culture around, moving our culture. Now we're going to give him one of the most prestigious
platforms,
seats in show business.
And then we're going to have to write jokes for him, and we're going to have to use our talent to make him funny, right? Think about that. Like, I got to use my talent and my skills, and I got to uplift this freaking billionaire.
He's not going to be great.
I don't know.
He's not going to be great. If anything, they're going to do an incredible job. And I have a lot of faith in SNL. I love SNL, by the way. I'm not just trying to shit. That they're going to basically make all these jokes around the fact that he's so awkward. That they're only like ripcord, get me out of here type, save the day situation is going to involve them just basically making him an alien in the sketch. Like, seriously, the first sketch is going to be an alien. The second sketch is going to be, I don't know, Nick Burns, the company's computer guy, is going to come back. Jimmy Fallon's going to be a host. They're going to like bring guest stars in alongside him.
They're going to pad it.
To sort of pad
They'll
it.
pad it, yeah. You got it. That cold open will be padded.
Obviously, he's going to drive in a Model Y. There's no doubt that he's going to come down the stairs in a Tesla.
Or a Segway or some shit like that. I bet the monologue will have people come in. Like, he's not just going to go up there by himself. He'll have people, the people in the audience where he talks to people, ask them questions in the audience. Like, Joe Rogan will be in the audience or some shit like that. Something silly. I'm just kidding. Joe Rogan will not be in the audience. But, like, you know what I mean? Like, they're going to rely on other things to make him look like he looks. You're going to see him not having a lot of lines, or just like a punchline, right? That he'll deliver horribly wooden, and and people will kind of laugh. But
I don't know how much you know about Tesla's success. Do you think in any way this is maybe trying to draw attention away from something going on at Tesla? Do you think that he is just addicted to media and his ability to influence and for people to see him and for him to feel recognized as a big man, so to speak? What do you think it is exactly?
That's a great question. That's a great question, man. I mean, hey, I tell you what, though, if you were asked, people were like, the Neverending Becoming hit, But again, that's a different story, because this is kind of media. This is kind of media,
I'm
right?
Listening.
He's not really a media personality. Like, for a media personality like Howard Stern or somebody on the radio to go on it kind of makes more sense, right?
This is where some of the animosity must lie. There are only so many slots on a calendar.
Yeah.
Especially now they're doing SNL in the pandemic. Like, it's serious work to get those through.
And to give it to a guy like Elon Musk, who has been questionable in his behavior and his taste making himself. I don't know. I think he wants to do it, though, for the machismo. I did SNL. I am the first, CEO, blah, 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 Tesla. I am the largest corporation in the world, and I'm going to go on SNL because I'm that successful.
Apple is the largest corporation in the world.
You know what I'm saying.
Nothing could ever take Apple's place. That's why I had to jump on you. They're still a great number. But.
Yeah. But, like, you know what I mean? Like, Tesla, I am at this level, and I'm so happy and successful that I don't want to say happy, but I'm so successful that I can even go on SNL and blah, 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 and whip out my shit. Because people want to see me, Elon Musk, and it's like, I don't know.
We'll have to see. Obviously another Dogecoin skit or something will be on there. Not that.
I'm sure. They'll have Mark Cuban come up.
Here's the other thing. It could be kind of lame and tame, because there's been some wild media headlines surrounding the fact that he's going to be on SNL. And
they will do a Joe Rogan sketch. I bet you they will do a Joe Rogan sketch. That is my prediction. That they are going to have somebody be Joe Rogan. They're going to have some little guy.
Matt. Close your eyes.
They're going to have some little guy in a bald cap, and they're going to have him like this, and he's going to be like, "You want to smoke weed, Elon?" And it's that way Elon can play himself, right? And that's
they're not going to do that. That's his most famous media moment. I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
Now I have to watch this just to.
I think it. We talked about last time how that was quote unquote intentional, right? That he is, I think, more savvy with how he uses the media than he lets on, or he's kind of playing in terms of his character of himself. So I think that would be like a little bit too much, like.
But he's on SNL, and everybody knows him for that.
No, I mean like too revealing. Not that,
you think so?
Not that it's too over the top, but that it would be too much like he's kind of showing you behind the curtain. I think that's one they do. I've noticed watching SNL a lot. They do bring up Joe Rogan Experience.
Yeah.
A funny amount now. It comes up.
Well, because it's weird. There's a whole subset of people that's where they, what is it? Work out all day, sleep all night, Joe Rogan Experience. How it says that's it, right?
I don't even know what it is. It's something like that.
But that's it, right?
Yeah.
And there's people that's it, right? They get their everything from that guy. Still, right? Still.
We can also talk about that a little bit because I feel like a lot of that is kind of coming true too in terms of what we talked about. Heavy Lies the Crown with him being on Spotify.
It is very interesting.
We talked about the hipster element last time and how anytime someone's too big, we're talking about this more with Will Ferrell.
Yeah, sellout stuff.
How people just love to hate people that end up getting to a high place in society. I think that can be really tough on someone's brand because he was sort of Joe Everyman.
Yeah.
He was Joe the plumber, Joe the podcaster, right? And he went from this studio where he had a lava lamp, maybe a salt lamp, a wooden table, and trinkets and shit you'd see at anyone's basement, any stoner's basement, till he moved into a spaceship, and now everyone's like, what the fuck is going on
He's
here?
got even a new studio now. That was just the temp studio that he built, and now he's got another studio that they just, him and Segura were on it. Segura was the first guest in the new studio, the new Austin studio.
I haven't seen it in video form, but I saw that he has a neon sign behind him.
All I saw, dude. That yelling, that's all I saw.
Yeah, that's a huge problem, though. I think one of the parts that's magical about podcasting is you're in someone's home and it feels like your guard can be down. That's supposedly Howard Stern's old trick is you show up at Howard Stern's show and there's a green room whatever, but you only talk to 2 or 3 people in the room. There's not 1,000 people in the room, and you kind of forget, and then you end up talking about doing anal sex or something on Howard Stern's show. You end up being
He's one of the best interviews.
revealing.
Yeah, one of the best interviews I've ever.
Because you don't realize where you are.
Yeah.
If there's some sort of neon buzzing behind Rogan's shiny skull, and the lights bouncing off his dome and getting into camera too.
Man, I don't know. It's just, I said,
I'm willing to do freelance videography work for the Joe Rogan Experience. By the way, I'm not trying to cut that tie.
Jamie,
and I do love you, Joe.
Yeah,
but
you need help. We'll help you. Over $100 million. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. It's generational wealth. And it's as much as I want to shit on him for his choices and, censoring himself, they removed 40 episodes from the Joe Rogan Experience, which he said would never happen, you can't censor me, blah, 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 blah. And then he's like, yeah, okay, go ahead. No problem. Get rid of some of those episodes,
Right. That leaves a terrible taste. And specifically his brand is built with 3 legs, one of the legs being authenticity. Yeah. So and knock that out.
The idea that you can go back. You can go back and watch anything, right? Even if you wanted to go back and watch Alex Jones be a fucking whack job, that was your right. You could go do it, and listen to what he had to say. That was entertaining to me. And now I can't go back and listen to it. You had Stephen Greer, UFOologist, on there that I really wanted to listen to that interview. And, that's what we got to talk about too, UFOs. That was one I was talking about. Stephen Greer was on there. Milo Yiannopoulos, I can't ever pronounce his last name. They took him off. Chris D'Elia.
He's not famous or relevant anymore.
No,
so.
Right. Yeah, Chris D'Elia. They took all the D'Elia episodes off, because of all the things going on with him, and he was on maybe 7 or 8 times, took them all off. It's just...
And for a show that probably is complaining about them taking statues down, for him to be taking his own episodes off the server, it's a little...
Interesting.
Poignant and ironic in a way. Yeah. But as it goes, there'll be a new Joe Rogan to take his place. He doesn't want to be Joe the people anymore. I mean, anytime you ditch YouTube, whatever, what do you think you're doing?
And then it's funny because I don't know if we talked about this in the pod, but I was watching a Jim Brewer clip, and I think for a couple weeks back, and at the end it was just please come to Spotify. All of this is on Spotify. Please come to Joe Rogan on Spotify. Please, everything's on there. It's all free. I promise it's free. And that's Joe talking. He was literally talking, doing the card read for it. And it was just so please come to Spotify,
By the way, I'm doing some research how to get this video podcast, which, as we've talked about, is not really a podcast, but is a talk show, but they're still calling it a podcast. How to get this on Spotify, and they do not allow video to be on Spotify at this point.
Not yet,
Joe
right?
Rogan still has a place of exclusivity, and he has a special treatment advantage on Spotify even. Me using something like Buzzsprout to host my podcast on RSS website, you can't flow the video to Spotify. They'll take the audio, but they're not going to, they won't even YouTube it. You know what I mean? They won't even put the pixels on the screen for people like Joe. So even inherently in him moving to Spotify, I think long term it'll be good. I'm not trying to be ignorant here because he in a way is going to bring video to their platform. I think they were more
that's what I was
reluctant at first. Yeah. But he should have dug his heels in and said, no, you have to offer video support to everyone because he's kind of placing himself in a golden chair there.
Okay, Joe. Then we're gonna take $50 million off your salary.
It's not fair.
Well,
he's got Alpha
it's
Brain
fine.
and $50 million.
On it, right, dude? He's got On It. On It makes a shit ton of money too. Onit.com, dude. He owns all that.
I want to see a documentary too, like how long ago he started on it. I know, obviously, his first episodes they were doing like the fleshlight and products that were not specifically his.
They talk about that, yeah.
But eventually, he's pushing his own products, and like the name of the company is different, so there is like some honesty that I do partially own On It, whatever, but he still is calling it something else.
Cash App too, wasn't he pushing the Cash App for a long time, and he owned part of the Cash App? Was it the Cash App? I think something like that, yeah.
I believe it.
I mean, like if he's reaching that many eyeballs, wouldn't he be like, okay, give me like 5% of that company and I'll put you on my shit, you know? Like, hell yeah, right? Like, not the company's doing that, but like for him being like, you want me to be on my show, like I'll do it, but I need to believe in this company. I want X amount of, up front, blah, 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 set the terms.
It blows my mind watching some podcasts on YouTube, how many... I know people that are multi-millionaires still have the lamest ads from HelloFresh and Blue Chews and all this bullshit on their podcasts. Like, how much is enough for you fucking people? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It sickens me.
Yeah.
It totally sickens me. Because even if you're thinking from like I think sort of a hardcore business standpoint, long term, podcasting can be kind of like a free product. It can kind of be like a business card to your personality that you give out to people.
Sure.
And the fact that people are constantly trying to monetize that, to me, reeks of so much desperation. And more importantly, I think it keeps like the bandwidth that you have in terms of like your fandom's highway. I think it keeps it like extremely narrow.
Yeah.
And that if you're on a YouTube and you're not giving ads every 5 minutes in your videos, I think you keep your runway so much wider and you have so much more opportunity long term for what you're trying to accomplish. Just blows my mind.
Yeah.
People I know, like Whitney Cummings, her podcast, I've watched some of those, ads galore.
Yep, absolutely.
She's reading ads, right?
She makes a ton of money on ads, though.
I'm not trying to shit on that one specifically. I like it. That's the reason I was watching the podcast. I wanted to see what was up with her. I like her, you know. But I was like, God, does it? And she specifically is supposed to be one of the most rich comedians. Didn't she make a ton of money being a showrunner, Two Broke Girls, whatever? It's like, why is she still asking for money in a way?
Right. That's what it is. Like, please give me money. Please give me money.
Other people too, even people that I know, they can afford it. You don't have to be hitting us up like, and it's so demeaning. I'm super fucking against.
You know
ads.
what?
This is just gonna be my tirade forever.
No, I kind of feel the same way actually about. I don't want to disparage them because they're my favorite, but Your Mom's House.
Do it, dude. I mean, let's be honest.
Your Mom's House, they've been doing these live shows, right?
Yeah.
And it's Your Mom's House Live, and it's just...
Yeah, they're like kind of monetizing in a new way. They're doing pay-per-view.
Basically, that's
what they're doing. Is this like Jake Paul shit? What's going on with that?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, so they're basically doing uncensored episodes. And you pay like $10 and they're doing like a 3-hour episode and they're playing like uncensored clips and they have like usually like I don't want to say like a raunchy guest, but a guest who will probably push the envelope and say things more, crazier off the air. And then, a lot more inside-y, jokey kind of things. Tom had a lot of his family on, I think, in the last couple episodes. But I think it's kind of a cash grab. I think it's like, oh, we haven't been doing any comedy the last year. And after that first one, I mean... I have a feeling they made crazy money, hundreds of thousands of dollars off of their...
No, how many have there been and how long did it take for them to come out?
So they started...
Because I'm very interested in this.
They started, I think, November. I think it was November of last year. I think they've done like 4 or 5. It's been about one a month, like a pay-per-view, like you said. And then they even did for New Year's, they did Two Bears, One Cave had one, and then they did another Two Bears, One Cave for the Super Bowl.
These are all paid exclusives, so if you're a fan, you have to pony up some dough to watch it.
Right, exactly.
How much are we talking?
And it was like, I think it's like $10. And like it's their own server.
Damn, dude.
And then
digital ticket for $10. That's expensive.
You get like you get it for the week, so you can like if you don't watch it live right away, you can watch it throughout the week, and then it like goes away for a while. But I think they come back. They're trying to get them to come back on a server to host. So if you want to buy them to see them again, and it's like I get it because YouTube, they're on YouTube and they have a lot of ads. They have a lot of ads, I think, and a lot of their thing is they're trying to push boundaries, right? They want to have like that heavy hour content, they say, and. They are only allowed to go so far on YouTube, and YouTube will demonetize their videos and stuff. So they've tried to find an alternate way around it. But for me, the way they're doing it so often, and they're putting cool stuff in there. They're like filming other things and doing skits and vignettes and stuff. But like for me, I think it's just like, oh, they're making a ton of money, so they're just gonna start doing like more pay-per-view.
How many have you bought?
I haven't actually bought any because my good friend Kyle, I don't know if he actually listens. Kyle usually gives me his code, and the code will work. So he's like, "Oh, if you want to watch it." So I've got it from him.
He's buying them. Did you watch every one?
No, I haven't watched every one.
Okay.
No, and it kind of,
did
to be
the
honest,
quality go down over time? Did it seem like?
Yeah, I wasn't. I like Bert and Tom, but the Two Bears One Cave was just them just getting drunk and fucked up together.
See,
which is fine, like if you're into that and you're doing it, but it was just like, okay, like I'm paying $10 to watch you guys get fucked up.
I'm not into uniforms or old school Hollywood or this or that, but like put on a show.
Yeah.
I am a showman. Yeah. It kind of sickens me that they would break that sacred bond with their fans.
But in fairness,
serious money. I think not just accepting $10 of Bitcoin or Dogecoin. We're talking about real Venmo dollars here, folks.
I think the Your Mom's House episodes were a bit more better at that, like giving you content and showing you funny things and putting on a show. Like it really was a live show. In one of them they had Dr. Drew do Pop the Cyst on Nadav's back. And,
it sounds like they're just trying to make his healthcare tax deductible. Gross. Give me a fucking break.
Oh, and it was terrible.
On his back.
And it was terrible because Dr. Drew looked totally fucking like out of his depth, right? And he's trying to he's got it's like a hole, like a lesion in this guy's back, and he's got these two things, and he's just digging in there.
Okay.
And the guy's like, that hurts, it hurts. And he's like, no, you're fine. And clearly he's in pain, and I'm like, this is fucked up, and I think this is like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Again, not talking shit because I know you like this show.
I do.
Whatever.
I really like Your Mom's House. I love them. I like what they do. I think they're pretty good. I think this pandemic's hurt them a lot.
I was gonna say more than that bond is sacred, and they're not hurting, and they're established. So just being honest, any choices you make from that position of power, I think you have to ask.
But
you have to ask about.
Again, like it goes back to the whole Joe Rogan making money. When you reach your I'm not trying to shit on people who are trying to make money. When you reach your success,
I want to be above that too. I want to move past that.
I know when you're successful, and again with the actor stuff last week, you got to strike when the iron's hot. Right now, I think they're more popular than ever. Your Mom's House, right? And so they want to monetize that. They want to make their money while they can. And I get it, but like you said, make it worthwhile for me. If you're gonna give me one of these every month, I don't just want to see fucking disgusting clips of people eating shit and which is, I get it. That's
funny.
Your Mom's
tied
House.
to Joe Rogan with Fear Factor, by the way, because that's in essence who he is.
That's all.
And
it was.
It's like almost like they did lazy market research, just being like, I don't know, half the people are here because they saw us on Joe Rogan, whatever, and I don't know, he was on Fear Factor, so let's just have people eat like bull testicles or something.
They've always done viral clips, right? They were I don't want to say they were Tosh.0 before Tosh.0, but I can't remember. There's some controversy whether they took it, but they just take viral clips that's not even theirs, right? None of these clips that they play are theirs.
I'm sure Tosh.0 was on before their podcast.
Your Mom's House has been on for 10, 12 years.
He was on 17 years ago.
Fair enough. So they stole it from Tosh. Fine.
And even he stole it from The Soup. And come on, let's be.
There's clip shows, but it's a clip show, right?
And I love iterations of a format. In fact, I think that's the way you get mastery. SNL, we talk about that a lot. Like, I love Portlandia, Chappelle Show, other sketch shows. So
sketch comedy is great.
Mr. Show, big deal.
Love sketch comedy.
To have different sketch comedy.
Oh, that's another dark subject I was going to talk about. I found the basis for sketch comedy, and I was looking into this thing called minstrel shows. And
God, yeah.
Have you heard of minstrel shows?
Yeah, it's like blackface shows.
Yeah, and that's the early culture of America. That is the first culturally American theater is blackface minstrel shows. I went on this crazy deep dive. I've been into Groucho Marx lately, and he made some jokes about minstrel shows and was talking about minstrel shows, and I was like, I don't really know what that is. But he was born in 1890, so he's very familiar with that kind of. So I just looked it up, and it was talking about how just how so much of American culture now, sketch shows, comedy shows, stand-up comedy even, is all based on the idea of these minstrel shows, which is this horrible racist.
Well, people talk about slavery being America's original sin, but do you ever hear about how the media played into that? Or the media at the time, obviously we're not talking about the podcast app here, but newspapers and even the chosen entertainment in the form of, you mentioned minstrel shows, right? It's terrible, and yet I think we have to take a hard look at that, because currently we could be making some of the same exact mistakes, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And just not allowing something because it's popular, but not being mindful. I mean, we talk about Elon being on SNL, not being mindful of the messaging that we're all getting and sending across. Racial elements are being looked at, but obviously that needs to happen in a more robust way with different facets, with the media being one of the institutions that is affecting people, right? But financial things with Elon, like the way he moves markets, or like gets young people to put their birthday money into Bitcoin or Dogecoin, or I don't know, whatever seems, I think, culturally convenient to him in meme form that week, with little implications about what that would do to a millennial's net worth long term. Hard for me to say this now because Bitcoin actually has been the best investment in the last 10 years, and I saw that that's like the millennial investment, Bitcoin. But I'm really sick of hearing all this millennial talk about us being broke and shitty, and it fucking is gonna hurt so bad if like our number one millennial investment, Bitcoin, ends up totally taking a shit.
Yeah. I think that's too the problem is millennials don't have as much leeway getting to the top. The top's pretty solidified, so it's hard to get up to the top. So you have to find new ways to invest, right? And so they don't want to invest in the same shit everybody else has been investing in.
Yeah, but that's a problem because the way to the top is pretty fucking slow.
It's terminal uniqueness.
It hurts me to think that millennials are super into Bitcoin, and in a way, Bitcoin is sort of a get-rich-quick scheme to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Based on the greater fool theory that you can get someone to pay more for later, but regardless of whether or not that there is new utility or purpose in the chosen asset. In this case, a digital currency that takes more electricity than Argentina and Sweden, apparently, if you've heard about any of that crypto mining shit.
It's just wild.
But we jumped around.
Yeah.
I have to stop blowing into the microphone, by the way. My laugh blows. My pop filters. I have the strong pop filter mics on too.
That's good because I pop my peas all the time.
I didn't mean to make this a Bitcoin rant. I have to do that at least
once or twice
every other episode now.
But just it's just the tying it in. I'm trying to figure out how you tied Bitcoin into minstrel shows, and I'm trying to get back there. And I was like, how did you do that? Elon Musk. You tied it to Elon Musk.
Oh well, I guess a popular way to phrase that is a lot of times people in positions of economic power are getting us to fight about race and the way that we look.
Yes, yeah.
When really they're pulling the financial strings. I mean, Elon Musk is a direct descendant of this. You talked about Elon's ties to South Africa last time too.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the alpha masculinity that he comes from there, and obviously all the racial history that is there. Like, there are weird intersections here. You mentioned the SNL cast members bringing up like salaries of like quote unquote normal people.
Yeah. And just his whole attitude is not very I don't know, he's a user, he's a user.
Opportunist, maybe?
He's a user. He's going to use millennials to get what he wants. He knows how to work it. He's a user. And I think there's, I don't want to say creative types, but like, people who are a bit more empathetic can see that, and maybe they're just not down with it, But I don't know. I think it's interesting that the media, you talk about media brainwashing. They want you, look this way while the other hand's doing the other thing, right? So we're focused strongly about race and police brutality and things like that. And, meanwhile, like, our corporate overlords are just raking us over the coals, You want to make it a race issue.
$6 trillion of government spending occurred.
Yeah.
What percentage did you get?
Right, exactly. Take that $6 trillion, divide that by the population, and it's some crazy amount of money per person. And it's like, how much of that do you see? Where are those resources going? It's all divide and conquer, and it's been that way for a while. But the minstrel shows, I think, were a way of keeping white people up, black people down. Again, it's a separation, right? Keep them as jokes, right? Because then, after the Civil War, if you keep them as jokes, they can't actually take their rightful place in society if you keep them, as the butt of all the jokes. I think, but I think that you see that shit's still going on. I just think it was important that, like, what really I think about is how there's, like you said, slavery is America's original sin, and I don't feel like it's as talked about at how integral racism is into the fabric of this country. And I think that's we're seeing it in ways now that are offensive to people, because it's like, oh, I don't want to have to deal with this, as a white person. I don't want to have to deal with this. That's from 60, 70, 100 years ago. I don't want to have to deal with this.
It's probably still going to take more media to get everyone to understand that. I sort of switching gears here. I've been watching Masterclass, a lot of different Masterclasses, and I've been watching the Ken Burns one, famous documentarian.
Civil War.
He was talking about, all these different projects he didn't do, and very appropriately to this conversation, I guess he's going to be doing a type of documentary on like the like a big period when like lynching was occurring in America with the Jim Crow laws.
Didn't he
and
do
the
a
KKK.
jazz one about jazz? Maybe I'm mistaken.
He's done Prohibition.
Okay.
He's done
so
a
he's,
lot.
He's going to do lynching.
The Vietnam War prominently a few years ago.
Yeah.
But I guess it's a project I think he said he's had it for decades, that he's wanted to do it for a long time, and it's finally going to be a go-ahead now. I don't know if he found the appropriate story or package to tell, but maybe, we're going to have to just like search for words here until someone like Ken Burns is able to distill a lot of information and
right.
hopefully correct information and thoughtfully chosen information, right, to help us out.
You want to talk about crazy segues?
Yeah.
So UFOs. Okay. So I don't know if you saw recently.
Matt's going to teach a master class in UFOs here.
I'm not. I just want to talk about it because it was on NBC Nightly News, CBS Nightly News. They were on the actual nightly newscasts.
So I didn't see it.
Okay.
So I'm part of that percentage of America that missed this story.
Okay.
But what story are you talking about?
So if you remember from the last podcast that we did about UFOs,
no one remembers.
I was talking about UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomenon, and just the government task and agency that is responsible now for monitoring and talking about this. Mm-hmm. Jeremy Corbell, who is another guy who's a UFO documentary filmmaker guy, got the footage of basically pyramid-shaped unidentified aerial phenomenon circling warships, and it's some of the best footage ever caught by of anybody. And
okay, keep it mainstream America. Keep it right down the plate.
So
for the new revelation, the new story.
So it's the idea that they're targeting our warships and our like national security capabilities. So it is now interesting. The government.
It doesn't help that our warships are probably everywhere.
Yeah.
They're probably in many, many locations, and they're like, they buy the warships. Right. But it's like, but the warships are by everything.
So I don't know if you've noticed, but I have not said the word aliens once, because the idea is that it might not be aliens. It might just be some new super technology that we just haven't seen yet. Like they might just be incredibly advanced drones that are like has been assembled by China or Russia or something like that. But the bottom line is they have capabilities that like are just beyond what we've seen or are able to do.
I'm sure that's what it is.
He's
compared to aliens.
Well, the big thing is he calls them and I hadn't heard this term, but it's called transmedia transportation, which means basically what he's saying is like they go from like this like atmosphere and then they go underwater, and like there's video of them just diving directly into the sea. And so like the idea is that they can withstand the pressures of like deep sea, but also like up in the air, and the speed at which they travel. And it's not like this is bullshit, because they have the technology of the video is like military level technology.
Okay, interesting. Okay. It could be was did you see any of the mainstream broadcasts on this? Lester Holt, or who was giving the info?
Lester Holt was the absolute man.
Chicago shout out, by the way.
Chicago. He was literally the guy doing it, and then they had another one on CBS of a different guy. But Lester Holt was like, okay, we have this new
Did he give a joke?
He was like, wow, we gotta keep it. Wasn't
Put on
jokey.
your tinfoil hats, folks.
But the end was like, whoa, we better keep an eye on that. That was like his last line. We better keep an eye on that. But it's very strange, because the idea is that there's a government agency that is Senate agency that I was talking about that is like tasked with like figuring this out. And so we have unclassified video, but there's classified video that we have not seen yet of the same incident from like the actual warships. So it's just interesting, because either it's highly, highly advanced technology that we've never seen before, or that level of like, people talked about like, where are the aliens? We have all this camera footage. We have everything everywhere. Where are they? Well, now we're finally hitting a point where the technology is reaching that, and we're seeing all these things like happening. And there was another really cool one that I heard.
I got no faith, by the way. Sorry.
No.
I wish I had some sort of
But
belief
I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Aliens could exist, but I think it's just
What if they're not aliens, though? What if it's
Chinese
just us?
drone?
What if it's just us from like different points in time, or like a version of us, or there are these other beings underwater that have been around since we have, but they just don't want to interact with us, like, I don't know.
You're tying it back to myself coming back to murder myself. Like,
well, maybe there's a version of you underwater where they've cloned you, and they will replace you. You get too close to the truth, you're going to be your replacement.
Highly possible. I think the whole drone thing, I think they're I don't know. I would want to learn the full like rules and regulations of it. If there are certain laws that just force government disclosure based on asinine forms that they had to fill out with, I don't know, the Department of Aeronautics or the FCC or
I'm sure
whatever.
the DoD does not have to fill out any forms. If they have some classified, highly secretive drones, like they don't have to fucking tell anybody.
Yeah, but if they have to pull a permit to do something, that's how it always comes up, right? Like
but they're the Department of
tangential,
Defense. If it's all classified, they don't need any permits. What permits is classified?
Well, no, but didn't something become unclassified? The Pentagon thing, that's what happened to begin with. It was a Pentagon file type thing.
Yeah.
And
Well, some of the
they
people
sort of pushed the button on like tell people about this, right? Like it existed, it was there, it was collated.
The people were then read out of the program. One of the guys that has really brought a lot of this out of the woodwork, he was like let go. I shouldn't say let go, but his program ended in 2017. So once that happened, he came out with everything, and he was talking about all of the things that he'd seen in this secretive program, all the papers that he was writing about warp travel and like, you know, all sorts of like really science-y fiction type ideas, but they asked him to write them scientifically, and how would we go about doing these things, and how would we go about understanding metamaterials and all this stuff, how far away are we from this technology and stuff like that. You know, I don't know, the idea that there has been, because like we're
trying not to black out of boredness right now. I'm sorry, it's just all this alien shit.
All right.
I'm sorry. I can't. I can't believe.
I told him this would piss him off. It's just unexplainable, though. It's unexplainable stuff, and it's been going on for a lot of years.
We said it's possible. It was a Chinese drone. It was a Zhiyun branded.
Do you want to hear about the
beta model?
The meteor.
And by the way, quickly, the whole just for the sake of argument, whatever, going from like air to the water type thing. I mean, yeah, it may be that it dove deep down, that it was like submarine level, but it could have just been that it like is designed to crash into the water, submerge itself so it can't be immediately photographed in the sky.
Sure.
But it's just like 2 inches under the water, and right there, you know, that it's not actually doesn't have a hull that's built for high capacity. Like, for instance, I'm going to base all my scientific knowledge off of Mythbusters right now.
Sure,
have you seen
perfect.
the Mythbusters where they shoot a gun underwater? They fire bullets, and they want to see how far can a bullet fly
and it
underwater.
doesn't really go, right?
And it's not really that far, because water has this pressure thing where the further you get from the surface, it gets way, way, way more intense.
And that's why they're talking about how crazy these are.
But what I'm saying is they're just assuming it's like diving deep underwater, but it could go fucking 1 inch under the water, and they're saying it has a submersible hull.
It sounds like the camera footage, these extra...
My iPhone was... I jumped into a lake last summer with my iPhone to shoot a podcast episode, so it's not crazy to me that they could design a camera on a bird that dives into the water.
Sure, but it's like the amount of sensor readings that this ship got and how deep this craft went versus like, and the speed. It's just interesting. Yes, it could all be, you know, human technology, but like, I don't know.
Dude,
so
they
here's my
fucking
other one.
sell the scariest and most amazing drones now to the public.
Right.
And military technology has been, pushing the drone thing for decades now. Not an exaggeration.
Sure.
There's been Arrested Development episodes making fun of drone pilots in Nevada now that are 10 years old. Those episodes are now insanely old. 8 years old, whatever it is. It's been thought of, seen, satired, and forgotten about at this point. So to me,
the bottom line
new here.
is you just need the little gray man to walk across the sidewalk in front of you and say like Klatu Vrata Nikto, you know, and then you'll believe, right? You'll believe in something beyond, right?
No, I'll take a simple stoppage of transmission in a radio communication.
Yeah.
I'll take fucking anything.
Okay, so
I'll take this podcast offline, or maybe add 1,000 views to it. How about that?
So how about this meteor, this extrasolar meteor that they saw? That this guy, it's called
and don't feel that you have to convince me.
No,
either.
I know, but I just feel
it's like you're representative of the concept in a way.
Yeah.
But
there's another thing. I actually just listened to it on this weekend, and it's about the meteor that I was familiar with called Oumuamua, and it was this meteor that passed around.
See, I'm too focused on Mula Mula, man.
Yeah,
I can't be
Mula.
thinking about Oumuamua.
But it's interesting, and it helps expand your mind, and it opens your mind. And so, real quick, the idea was that this thing, it looked far different than any comet that anybody had ever seen. The way light hit it didn't make sense, all this kind of stuff. And everyone's like, oh, it's just a comet. It's made out of hydrogen. That's why we can't see its tail. You know, they just kind of worked their way around it. And this other guy has a theory that this is actually like from a probe or a sensor from an ancient extinct civilization that is just flying through the. But we can't.
Of course, he has that theory.
But like the idea is that like his whole point is that science has become too close-minded, and that we refuse to open our minds to things like that because it doesn't fit in our narrow scope of things, and that if we actually maybe like took some cameras and like looked at it and actually like studied it, and then he had some great examples about like just looking at like extrasolar planets and finding habitable planets about Earth, and everyone kind of told this guy he was full of shit, and then 50 years later it turned out that was totally true, and everyone just kind of shat on him for this thing. And it's like the idea is that if we open our minds a little bit more to these ideas that are a little bit more, Anyways, I'm probably going to read his book, and it sounded really interesting and good. And
no, I don't want to be. I consider myself to some degree to be a scientist.
Yes.
So I'm not trying to be closed-minded to the scientific method, but part of that is collecting data, and I don't need the gray guy walking up to me. I don't need it to be that loud and intense. But all of the data, and I'm trying to look at a wealth of data and a wide breadth of data. I'm not seeing anything that's gotten me excited.
Yeah.
I've looked at too much data, and we've talked about it, and I've tried to see what I can see. And I'm also trying to stay like aware of the visual spectrum and the fact that there's all this beneath the surface, so to speak, in terms of what we can perceive. And that is very important to me in terms of how I conceive of my reality too. There's so much information that we just can't pick up on, the form of micro expressions, even word choice, and all these different ways we're consciously signaling, let alone accidentally signaling, or just the signal is in a way flowing through our humanity. That being said, haven't seen the data. Haven't seen enough data.
Yeah, me neither. But I want to believe, and that's my goal. I want to believe.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I used to not be so into it.
Men in Black is a trilogy, by the way. It took me a second.
That was on my list. Was
it really?
It was. Yeah. Actually, maybe it wasn't. I thought of it though.
That's a good trilogy, by the way.
It's not bad. I like it. I like it a lot. The second one and then the third one where they end up going back in time because it's such a fun
Jermaine
trilogy.
McClellan or
Jermaine.
Flight of the Conchords.
Yeah, great show.
Singer is in the third Men in Black movie. Josh Brolin. Tommy Lee Jones.
Josh Brolin. Thanos, you mean?
I saw that at a double feature. It was Magic Mike and Men in Black 3. The first Magic Mike in Men in Black 3. Which Magic Mike at this point is probably almost a trilogy. They're 2/3 of a way to the trilogy, right?
Yeah, that'll be a trilogy. Yeah, we'll do one more if they can get themselves in shape for one more movie.
Channing Tatum will probably do it right before he turns 40 or 50. He loses all his testosterone.
He's a super funny guy. He's a super funny guy. Man. Yeah, I don't know. I
hope I didn't kill your UFO spirit.
No, you can't. You can't.
But
nothing you can say.
We dedicated whole episodes to it.
We did. We dedicated one episode to it.
And I missed this Lester Holt coverage, so I'm not able to.
I'll show you the clip so you could just see it, and so you could skeptically go, "Meh, I'm fine. Cool, thanks, Lester." And then I'll be like, "Yeah, okay."
I just don't want Lester Holt reporting on bullshit. I want the man to be recording, talking about the.
Which one are you? This one's you. This one's you, the monkey with the thing. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. This is great. This is like an ongoing thing. This is like our one spot of contention is like the UFOlogy. You're just not into it. You're just not into it.
I'm not.
How about cryptozoology, like these Yetis and like chupacabras and Mothmans, shit like that?
That's closer,
yeah,
because it's more of like a taxonomy thing that would be in my science background.
Yeah, you can.
I think I could get that to fly.
In my science background, I love that. Yeah, sure, that's more acceptable to you.
But people, they kind of do use science as a religion now, and they do get closed-minded about it. Do you want to riff on that a little bit? Do you want to?
Dude, flat Earth. You want to talk about flat Earth? I mean,
how about a new take? Let's get a new take on science and how science is somehow at this point now fucking us up because people are taking it way too literally.
We've taking it really way too literally, but I think we've hit
not way too literally. That's not the way to phrase it. Science people are getting dogmatic,
militant,
and assuming that what we current know is what we will always know.
Yes, that's the problem. That's the problem.
Yeah.
I think that's a problem. I think that they talk about this, how the advancements in science have kind of hit a wall. Like with physics and stuff, we're looking for like invisible particles to confirm established theory. We're not like making new theories about new things, right? Which I think the extraterrestrial guy, he's a professor at Harvard. He's like the, I can't remember, he's a professor at Harvard. But that's his whole argument, is like we're not pushing science anywhere. We're confirming things we already know. We're rehashing old experiments, but we're not pushing the boundaries. We're not trying to get the next level, the next physics, or the next Euclidean geometry, or, you know.
What if the webbing, the interwebbing maybe, that's been built within the information age, in a way, what if that's keeping us within the confines of our current knowledge? Right? And we're unable to diverge from the field far enough to get to new breakthroughs. I heard that a lot of artists or people that end up having like big projects, creative projects, they make their breakthroughs about 10 years in because it's at a period when you know enough about the field to achieve.
You got a ways to go.
But you're not far enough in that you get kind of brainwashed by the field, right? That you're too much inside baseball, that you're too close-minded to, you know, your freedom and your innocence and openness when you were younger.
Once you're part of the club, man, you don't want the club to change, you know?
Right.
Once you're part of the club, and then you finally have made your spot in it and everything, and it's, you know, you don't want to change that up. And then when you're ostracized, right? So like if like somebody who has like UFO, like Mitchell Kalku, right? He's like that futurologist who talks about like warp travel and time travel and shit, right? And like he's ostracized. What was that?
Michio Kaku? What's this guy's name?
I think Michio, he's like a scientist.
I just need to be honest, I don't know a lot of these people. Sometimes you bring these people up, I'm like, I don't know these people.
Sorry. You could post his name, like hopefully.
What percentage of America knows?
He's like a big futurologist. He's pretty successful. He's been in a bunch of shows. He's wrote a bunch of books. He's like the guy that talks about like time travel and space travel. He's like I don't want to say more silly, but he's a lot more theoretical physicist than like Neil Tyson deGrasse, right? Like he's a bit more like on the level, right? Michio Kaku, he's a bit crazier, and he has got a lot more like crazy ideas. But the idea is that like he pushes the boundaries and he gets ostracized for it. You know, he gets ostracized for his feelings about these things, and he's just trying to push boundaries. He's not trying to like, you know, like, hey, let's think about this differently.
You know, a lot of people make that same argument for Elon, that he's just trying to like push humanity.
But the difference between those two guys is Kalku is generally for the betterment of humanity, where I feel like Elon's for the betterment of himself and his ego.
I don't disagree. I can't make the specific comparison between the two, and I think it can be extremely thorny when your own ego gets wrapped up with you being a savior of humanity, which I think is occurring in some degree with Elon.
Yes, for sure.
Maybe it'll be an incredible case study in the hubris of humans thinking that we're saving everyone, doing a great thing, when in reality we're not helping anyone but ourselves.
It's ego.
Right?
It's ego.
Classic thing.
Yeah. You want to help people, but it's your ego that's forcing you to help people, right? It's not like, you're not always doing it out of, the kindness of your heart. You want the accolades, He wants to take people to Mars because then it's, it's Elon Musk's Mars, I don't know.
Yeah, it's funny. You sent me that article from The Guardian about Bezos and Musk.
And that was like, we talked about that 2 days before.
Getting workers on another planet.
Yeah. Yeah, and then like once they're on this other planet, what rights do those workers have, and are they basically slave labor? Is it going to be sort of like an indentured servitude that was done? Well, it's going to cost a couple $1 million to get you to Mars, so you're going to work off that debt when you get there, and when you're there, you're going to be tasked with these things, and it'll be a little dystopian, or we'll send prisoners there because they don't have their life sentence is up. So if you want to go into space to work from the Mars colonies, go ahead. You can go then, and we'll pardon you, but you can only live on Mars.
Dude, if that happens, it would be so ridiculous. It probably wouldn't even be the worst iteration. It would be weird.
Australia?
Like, let's send prisoners there, but you know what? It's too expensive to send their bodies, so we're gonna actually replicate their bodies and their minds on a chip, and then we'll send the data to Mars, and then we'll implant them into a new host body.
So you're talking about altered carbon, right?
Their altered carbon will be present on Mars.
That's the plot line to altered carbon, right? That's the plot line. Is your consciousness is bits and data, and you can transfer it across galaxies. So instead of space travel, you go body to body. So you can go across the galaxy. You don't have to travel space. It's just boom,
I know it's a classic thought experiment concept too. Yeah. Like if you're transferring but you get murdered, is it still you type thing?
Oh, transporters, right? The idea of a transporter. Like if it completely rewrites your whole thing from the ground up, is it really you? And
it's
then
never me.
There's a great episode of Star Trek, and it's constantly referred to because it's called Tuvix, because it's Tuvok and Neelix. Transporter accident, creates them into one being called Tuvix, and they become one being. And then it becomes a question of like, okay, does this being exist, or is these other two people that we need to separate this being because he is of these other two people? So it was like the idea was like, are you killing Tuvix, or is he not really a person because he's the amalgamation of two other people? Who has the right to live?
Elon Musk, what is he the amalgamation of? What two people?
Elon Musk?
In your mind?
Tesla and Hitler. No, I'm just kidding.
Nikola
I'm totally
Tesla?
kidding. I'm totally kidding. No, he's like a super genius. He's a genius, man. Like, you know, and I don't mean to shit on him. I think I'm shitting on him mostly because it's fun. You know, like he is a very smart, intelligent guy, and he's doing very impressive things, right?
Yeah.
But the underlying thing I don't think is for the betterment of humanity. And that's all there is, right? I don't think he has my best interests at heart.
And at the very least, it calls this whole thing into question, like, where is the line, right?
Yeah.
What's good for you? What's good for me?
Right.
One of the lines is on a bank ledger, and the top is positive in the black, and the bottom's negative in the red. And if he pushes people on one or the other side of that line,
Yeah.
obviously he gets a lot of credit. We talked about people using science as like their new religion.
Right.
Some people believe in Tesla kind of like a religion,
Right,
and
yeah,
Bitcoin
absolutely.
like a religion.
Listen, when that guy can invent interdimensional travel, he will become my savior. When he can actually get us off planet and fucking do that, then I will like you, Elon Musk.
But people treat him like a savior now because Tesla has 3% of the electric vehicle market, whatever. He acts like they've changed the gasoline engine motive.
Which again, that's all from the marketing machine that he's created for himself. That's so much of that is marketing, man. So much of that is the machine he's created.
Do you know anything about his cars? The Model
Teslas?
Y? Yeah.
I like basic stuff, not like if you ask me like what's under the hood besides the electric battery, I'm not gonna know. You know, it's not like I'm gonna tell you V6. I know like they have crazy safety features and they have the super boost button. They have a lot of marketing gimmicks on the car too. Did you notice that?
They do.
Like there's the pet protection one where like you can have your pet in the car and it'll like have like a thing on the window saying I'm okay, and it's air conditioner controlled so the pet won't suffocate in the car, you know, shit like that.
It does the door dancing and like the headlights like move in synchronicity with the music.
Yeah. You can like there's the gaming stuff on one. It's just a lot of tricks.
Marketing, like you said. Gift friendly, a lot of gift friendly opportunities.
TikTok.
TikTok Tesla. Great. I don't think the church bells went off, did they?
No, I don't. But I feel like we've done an hour. But it's
Also,
mostly because I'm
very
cold. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
That's really it.
Let me take a look.
7:16.
Let me take a look. It's been a while.
Yeah, I think we overhit an hour because we started at 6. So.
Well, first off, what percentage of people are still watching? What percentage of America?
What percentage is Austin? What in 0.0000 point?
What percentage? By the way, did you drop his words?
I did.
Shit.
Yeah.
What were the secret words?
I just did 2 of them. One I did recently, which was interdimensional.
Jesus, that's one of his?
Yeah.
Austin, you picked that for Matt?
Interdimensional.
I can't pick that out of the haystack.
And then the other one was groundswell. No, not groundswell. It was
Groundhog Day.
No, it was like, you know, being in the bottom of something at the beyond.
Ground level.
Ground level. Like being on the ground floor. Ground floor. That was it. Ground floor. And I was on the ground floor of the Elon Musk thing, so I threw that in there. And then I threw another secret one in there very early on of an actor that we talk about a lot that he jokes about. So I'm sure he's giggled at all 3 of them.
I saw Ficus come up in The Simpsons since we last podcasted, by the way, when it's that Rear Window spoof, Bart of Darkness, where he breaks his leg when they get the pool.
Oh, man.
And he sees Ned Flanders apparently murder Maude or something. But Ned actually spoiler, by the way, season 6 of The Simpsons, in case you haven't seen it. Ned actually murdered Maude's ficus plants. So Ficus did come up.
And he screams like a woman, which is one of my favorite parts.
Let me check this time.
Sure.
Yeah, by the way, I need to watch Alfred Hitchcock. I need to get all on Hitchcock movies.
Pretty girl just smiled
Crazy,
at me.
crazy level.
I had to smile back. That was too much. Let's see. All right, so I'm just going to talk more about UFOs. So there's several documentaries you can watch. The Bob Lazar one, it's not the best. Jeremy Corbell did that one, but the information is really cool. You know, I recommend all the Joe Rogan podcast episodes.
And Time. The ones that are still online, at least, right? The ones
he took off the one I really wanted to watch with Stephen Greer, but anyways, whatever.
One last association.
Sure.
How long has it been? In minutes.
77 minutes.
Very close. 74 minutes.
Ah!
About.
Well, now I'll never show up ever again.
We'll do 77 next time.
Okay. All right. Fine.
Thanks for being here, Matt.
Thanks, guys. Yeah.
We'll see you later.
Oh, my nipples.